And as you've been hearing, people in Aurora say they hope Trump's visit will shed some positive light on their city.
Denver7 investigative reporter Natalie Chuck spent the day in Aurora yesterday talking to people about how they feel about Trump coming to town.
With former President Donald Trump coming to town and all of the nationwide rhetoric going on about Aurora, we wanted to come and have real conversations with people who work here and live here every single day. And where better to do that than right here at the Stanley Marketplace. So come with us. Former President Donald Trump is coming here on Friday afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people didn't think he was going to make it out. I think he should.
I heard about it when he mentioned it. Definitely didn't believe him, I can't lie. I thought it was kind of just one of the many things that he would just say.
I'm surprised it's coming to Aurora based on everything that he said, but I also think it's a good thing that it's coming to Aurora. I think it's brave of him to come to Aurora.
This place that you spend every day and you walk around, it's really made national headlines. What are your thoughts on the conversations that are being had about Aurora all over the country right now?
I just wish that people would kind of fully contextualize everything about it. You know, that means experience, hearing from people who really are in Aurora.
I see how, they're keeping the upkeep and they're trying to make the schools better, and it's not all bad.
I certainly am uncomfortable with some of the negative connotations that have been shared about Aurora, but I also think it provides a spotlight on a city that is often underappreciated.
The national narrative about Aurora, hopefully when he comes here, he can also change that as well about this place.
Some of those apartments that have been in the conversation, they're just a couple blocks away. I mean, you probably live close by.
Yeah, I do.
What are your thoughts on the way they've been portrayed? Do you feel safe in that area?
I've never felt unsafe. I've never really, I walked past it before, and it's just like walking anywhere else. If it was Denver, if it was Boulder, if it was Aurora, personally, I feel safe there. So
it's alarming when you hear things cast about not just your city, but a neighborhood that you've invested, for many of these people here, their life savings, and to have it sort of castigated in such a negative light when it's just not true.
If you could ask the former president anything, what would you ask him?
I just think specifically while he's here, I would definitely be interested to just see how many people he knows from Aurora, how much time he's spent walking around Aurora.
How can we make it better than it was? Because I think things need to change.
Are you all planning on going to the rally? Or you're not sure yet?
I'm not going to the rally.
I would love to, but it came kind of fast, so I have to make sure everything is in line.
Yeah.
But I would go.
Some very honest discussions there. Natalie Chuck joining me now in the studio live. So Natalie, one thing viewers might not know is that it can be quite the task to find people who actually want to talk about anything related to politics or this upcoming election.
Yeah, Jessica, and that was absolutely the case yesterday. I mean, we spent probably 2 hours there yesterday. I'm not kidding when I say I think I asked more than 20 people if they would sit down on camera and talk with us. And honestly, many of them said that they liked what we were doing, they respected it, thought it was a good idea, and even told me their political views off camera. But when it comes to sitting down on camera, people are nervous about retaliation and putting their face and name on any opinions when it comes to this election, Jessica.
And I can completely understand why with the environment we're in right now. Natalie Chuck reporting in the studio for us tonight. Natalie, thank you. Well, Trump's visit comes with less than a month left until Election Day, November 5th. Along with the presidential ticket, Colorado voters will also decide on local offices and ballot measures. We have a full voter guide for you right now on Denver7.com.